Let's talk about this Nintendo investor Q&A, which
Oh yeah.
happened recently, and they published the full transcript from this. And again, this stuff is just available for the public to see. So if you want to go to the Nintendo investor relations site, like you can pull this up and read it. They have a full English, a real English translation, not some bunk Google Translates that's something people posting on the internet. This is the real deal if you want to know what they exactly said. But there
It's
were a
true.
couple interesting things here that we pulled out and wanted to talk about a little bit. And it's so these are answers mostly from Mr. Furukawa, but there's other people on the board of directors who will sometimes chime in. It's so interesting how Mr. Furukawa answers these questions, because a lot of time, like the majority of his response is just kind of restating the question, or and then like he'll have like a one line at the end where he actually provides some new comment or insight on it. And there's a couple questions where he's just like completely dismissive of it, like, we're not doing that. Or like, are you out of your mind, sir?
He's a very
Some,
he's very business minded. He's a very
yeah,
to the point. So I don't I get the sense that he's like, I don't have time for this.
right.
Like,
We always
stop
heard
asking.
stories of like some of these investors are out to lunch. They've got crazy things that are important to literally them and nobody else, but you just have to
Yeah,
kind of grin and bear it as they sit there and ask you the question.
right.
So, and they put that in the transcript too. So it's kind of funny to
It's
see
funny.
all of that stuff. So the first thing that came up was Nintendo's plans for they call it visual content, but it's TV and movie projects, and they did confirm that they have projects beyond what's already been announced for Mario and Zelda. In his specific words, although we cannot discuss our plans beyond the Legend of Zelda movie at this time, we are working on various other projects.
Mm, plural.
I'm not surprised
Plural.
by this.
I mean, why would they not be working on various other projects that could potentially make them billions of dollars? Why not? Yeah, not surprised at all by this. This is something that, I mean, they literally, spun up a team to do just this. Um, they bought a studio, or like, another company that does just this. So obviously they're going to be using those resources. Yeah, I am excited to see, like, Zelda and Mario are obviously like the obvious first choices for something like this, but there is like that third tier that kind of opens up a lot of possibilities for what that next thing is beyond Mario and Zelda. Is it Metroid? Is it Donkey Kong? Is it Fire Emblem? Is it, what is it? There's a lot of opportunities and a lot of options to choose from. So I'd be interested to see what they pick for that like next tier project.
Yeah. Yeah, his questions kind of get more interesting as we go deeper into them. Yeah, the visual content one was kind of like, yeah, we
Duh.
assume so. The next question was around: is the Switch 2 too expensive to get that very important kids audience in the door? And um, they answered this question by saying, like, well, we think that the price of the Switch 2 is appropriate for what you are getting. And I'll just read this next paragraph from him because I thought it was very interesting. It's true that Switch 2 has a higher price point than our past gaming systems. We are creating various opportunities outside of gaming for young children to engage with Nintendo characters and game worlds, with one of the ultimate goals being that they will eventually play on our gaming systems. We are closely monitoring to what degree the price of the system might become a barrier.
Mm-hmm. Didn't we say this exact same thing
We did.
recently?
It's that last sentence here that makes me think that the person asking this question kind of hit on a bit of a tender spot of
Yeah.
discussion within Nintendo, of like, yeah, we actually are slightly worried about this as well, and this is the path
Yes.
that we chose to go down, but we are keeping a very close eye on this and might have some things in our back pocket to put out there if things are not going well.
Better get that Switch 2 Lite ready to go. No, I'm not kidding. That is the strategy that they will do if they realize that their audience is fallen off. Because right now we talk about this a lot. It's like they're very focused on like the easiest audience to get, which is all of us. We're like the super engaged Nintendo fan, and they're all of us probably have purchased a Switch 2 or will purchase a Switch 2 by the end of this year. Um, some may be waiting for Metroid, some might be waiting for Donkey Kong or whatever other holiday game they have coming. But by the end of this year, you probably would have generally gotten most of the core engaged Nintendo fan, and they're going to be looking to expand that circle out. And if they find that the kid audience is just not doing it, or parents aren't doing it because it's really, really, really expensive to get your 8-year-old a $500 gaming system, better get that Switch 2 Lite ready. It's like a 2DS.
It is an interesting sort of shift of the strategy, where before it was like immediately for everybody, the end goal of all these other projects is get people playing on the dedicated game systems. And now it's like, well, for people who are a bit older, that's still the goal. But like, there's this recognition like, oh, there might be this barrier for kids. So until they get to that point, we need to sustain them through these other things that we have going on. And I think for the most part, I can understand that. But you do need to have a steady stream of those things to keep them that engaged and that interested. Yeah. So I think that's part of the we're keeping an eye on it element of this.
Yeah. When we were leaving Nintendo, that kid audience became the most important audience for Nintendo to market to, like beyond any other audience. Like when we were, there was a period of time when Animal Crossing, for example, where like the most important audience was women, to get more women into the Nintendo ecosystem. And now as we were leaving, it became the kids audience. And I was like, thank God I'm leaving, because I do not want to do this job. Marketing to kids is so incredibly difficult to do. Like it is almost impossible. And there is no way to track it, because you can't capture data from young kids. Like that's just like not possible. And like these kids are weird. Like who knows what the heck they like? And it's just like the most difficult job for a marketer is to market to kids. And so I was like, thank God, see you later. I'm not doing this. So they got their work cut out for them for sure. And I do get the sense of like tension with this last sentence, because they know how difficult it is to sustain and to capture that audience. And I don't think they've really figured it out yet for this generation at all. So should be fun to watch and see.
Last thing we pulled out of here was a question around just acknowledging that games these days are very expensive to make, take a long time to make, and how is Nintendo managing the risk? And they do acknowledge, like, yeah, it's true. This is a high-risk business, and it's never been more high risk than it is now. But Furukawa did say that they are devising ways to maintain their, quote, traditional approach to creating games. And they also talked a lot about how they believe strongly that you can make high-quality games with a short development period, without a huge monetary investment. And that's one of their solutions to this problem, which I think is really fascinating.
Yeah, I mean, I think they've always known this. Honestly, they do so much better than other big publishers on making sure they have a scalability in terms of the development cycles and the budgets and things like that with different games. And so it's good that there continues to be a focus and recognition of that. So I think that's good, and maybe, just maybe, their little variable pricing stuff will actually make sense, because they are, having this more broad scale of different types of games and different scale and length of development and cost and investments and things like that. So we shall see. Only time will tell, but it's good that they've acknowledged that this is a focus area for them.
Yeah, I think we can see like some of the games that fit this plan. Like last year, Echoes of Wisdom, I think, is like, hey, look, we can make a Zelda game that's still really high quality, but it's not going to break the bank, and it's not going to take us the 8 years that it took us to make Tears of the Kingdom. And I think looking at a game, you look at the games that are announced for Switch 2, and I think there's a couple of them that even fall into this category. The one that I was thinking about is Splatoon Raiders. And I was like, yeah, that has, the full Splatoon presentation, but it seems, from the very limited information we have, it seems to have a pretty tight focus, and also, a good purpose for bringing kind of a non-multiplayer experience to Splatoon fans. So I think, as more games get announced for the Switch 2, this is just something we can keep in the back of our minds and see, like, how is this one of these games, or is this one where they are breaking the bank and going all out?
Well, it depends on how much we pay for it.
That
Hopefully,
too.
hopefully they'll price it in a way. Like, how much is
Yeah.
Splatoon Raiders going to cost?
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
probably not an $80 game, hopefully.
No.
It's
No.
probably going to be like a $50 to $60 game, right? Depending on the scope of the
I don't know
experience.
about 50.
Oh, 30?
I don't know. Let's pump the
40?
brakes on 50. I mean, I would love that, but we'll see.
Well,
We'll see.
at least it won't be 80.
Yes. We can agree on that.